I had a conversation today with a very young man, 18-year-old man, who was actually a great example to many of these men who contact me for my bookkeeping appointments. And when he made the appointment for his bookkeeping, he, from the very first text, introduced himself with all of the information that I asked for in my ad. Booking with him was very easy. He was polite. It turns out that he's a server at a restaurant. Now, he's not one of those Chad guys. He's not one of those really good looking guys, I'm going to be honest. But his personality makes him good looking. As we were talking about the screening based on the videos I made earlier, he explained to me something that I hadn't really considered, which is that a lot of men contacting a woman try to push the boundaries. Their mindset isn't, what does she need to feel safe? How does this person feel? How's this person going to feel? They're like, how much can I push the boundaries? What can I get away with? Now, I think it could be conscious or subconscious. Their whole intention is to push the boundaries. See, I was explaining how some people contact me and say, oh, well, I can't pay a deposit for the appointment. And he says, well, they probably see you want a deposit. They're trying to push the boundaries and see if they can talk you out of it or get away without it. And he said, those guys are red flags. And I totally agree with him. He was explaining that when you're interacting with people, you want to think about how they feel. So I totally agree with him. I think some of these guys are, and that's why screening is so important, and we look for people who care how we feel. I also explained to him, and this is something he hadn't considered, but he's only 18, is that if you come up to me in the store and you ask me, where are the avocados, or what do you think is a good recipe for avocados, I'll totally talk to you. I'm very friendly. But if you come up to me in the store covered in a big hefty trash bag and talk to me, I'm going to feel threatened because I can't see you, I don't know who you are, and that's what it's like when people are contacting me via email or text for their bookkeeping appointment. They will use these email addresses that are like, Sammy 1982, rather than Sammy Jr., or something with their name and introducing themselves, so it doesn't feel safe. And the people that don't know this are not people I want to see, because they're indicating from the get-go that they have no knowledge or awareness or regard for how the other person might feel in a social situation. And those are people to avoid at all costs as clients. When I was a realtor, I dealt with people who were very selfish. They would try to get information from me and then take it to use with another realtor. I am very respectful with the people who do stuff for me. When people spend time with me or do research for me, I treat them with respect. And those are the only type of clients I want. When I worked in my last job, in a consulting job that I had for school districts, my boss was in a position where people like other school districts would come to him and want us to do work for them. We didn't do work for the classroom, we did work for the business office, because he had a good reputation. And because of that, he was able to decide, not only did he not have to advertise, but he was able to decide what business he wanted and what he didn't want. And he would always say, not every client is a good client. Not every client is a good client. So you have to be willing to lose them. You have to be willing to say no. Whether it's for clients or for dating, you have to be willing to say no. So it's really important to have some good boundaries and procedures, and then just say no to everything else. It's also important to be kind and to be nice and to have like an interesting social media or website that has people keep coming back, because as my real estate broker used to say, you never know where a client is going to come from. You never know where they're going to come from. So you just be nice to everyone. And, like when it came to real estate, he'd be like, you only need one a month. You don't need to get every client, you just need that one a month. So um, that's just kind of the attitude I have. Like, I'm willing to let this go. And that has to also do with keeping our finances in order. If I'm responsible with my money and I have some money saved up, I don't freak out, when rent is due or I have to take a couple weeks off because there's family in town or I have a pink eye or a urinary tract infection or, I want to go on a trip. I don't have to freak out because I take care of myself because I have a little extra money stashed away. So I don't ever have to see someone I don't want to see. As a woman, I think having our own business is really good for our personal development, especially those of us who are not in a relationship. I use my interactions with my bookkeeping clients to work on my personal stuff. For example, how can I be more inviting when I interact with them? How can I respond when they trigger me by doing bullshit stuff like pushing the boundaries or asking a lot of questions and I get super triggered? How can I change my screening or my responses? Um, you know, am I triggered? Is that my stuff, or am I just feeling threatened because they're being assholes? Um, and, you know, how can I be more friendly in my ads without being too friendly? Like it's just playing around with my procedures. How do I want to screen people? How much do I want to charge? What do I want to offer to my bookkeeping clients if they want additional services like tax preparation or running photocopies? Do I want to charge extra for those things or what's included? Am I going to charge for the consult for the time or am I going to charge for specific services? You know what I'm saying? Like, and I have a consistent procedure that I follow with everyone. Do I want to charge older clients I've had longer the same rate as my rates go up? No, I charge everyone the same. I treat everyone the same. Do I want to interact with clients outside of appointments? No, I don't. Would I ever date a client? No, I don't. Like really being clear on the boundaries and just being kind, and it feels almost like a flow chart, but it has to because I think it's really important to have healthy boundaries. I think of relationships more like this circle, like if you look at an archery board or a dart board, it has a big circle and smaller and smaller and smaller. Like I'm in the center of the circle. And then closest to me are like my family, like my kids, And then outside of that are like my close friends. And then there's like my personal trainers. I have a close relationship with them. And then could be like my neighbors and my clients. And people don't get all access to you. That's kind of like a boundary thing. Like the the more access you have to me, the more you have to also be authentic and intimate, and there's more vulnerability involved and more connection. And I don't want everyone there. And my clients don't get to come that close. They have to stay out there. That's their clients, it's work. I don't mix the work with the personal at all. I don't think that's healthy. And for me, it's not healthy. And I don't look to clients to be like potential boyfriends or dates or anything like that. I don't look to them for that. It's strictly business, and I approach it as a business so that way I'm never needy. I never need anything from them. And it's an exchange of energy, I'm doing the bookkeeping and they're paying me. So while I do the bookkeeping, I'm very friendly, I'm very nice. I think they enjoy my company as much as the bookkeeping. Um, yeah, the gentleman I was speaking with also said that porn has ruined a lot of men. We were talking about like men's situations. Porn has ruined a lot of men because a lot of it is very violent and it has desensitized them to a woman. So they might be contacting a woman, a bookkeeper or a massage therapist for an appointment, and they may be like automatically like very bossy and controlling and violent, modeling the men they've seen in porn because that's what they've seen. I think guys are better off watching some puppy videos, cuddling with puppies or cats so they can develop a little bit of empathy before they go contacting women, because it doesn't really work well to come across so bossy. Porn is not a documentary. I know a lot of young guys are trying to stop watching porn. If you watch porn, watch something that's very slow, very sensual, that's really focused on the man pleasing the woman rather than the woman being physically abused by the man in the porn. I'm going to say that the majority of porn that I see is very crass and devoid of feeling and sensuality. It's not the way that I've had sex with anybody that I know, except maybe a couple young guys that were like, I'm like, you must watch a lot of porn because you're not tuned into your feelings or mine at all. You're just like unable to feel anything. What is wrong with you? Slow down, breathe, feel. I think a lot of porn has desensitized people and um, made them not really realize that women have feelings, and that women's bodies are sensitive and want to be touched in our more sensitive areas with care and regard. They're just so rough. I refuse to gag on anyone's bookkeeping folders. I'm not gonna. If you come here with your bookkeeping file and your pencils, I'm not gonna gag on your pencil. That's abusive. To me, that's abusive, and that's very rough. I'm not interested in it being that kind of a bookkeeper, and few men want that kind of a bookkeeper. It might be fun occasionally to be a little bit rougher, but in general, if that's what guys see and that's what they want to do, they should contact somebody else. I'm looking for clients that are what I want. So another thing, and when you're advertising for your bookkeeping clients or whatever your home-based business is, really think about who is your ideal client and really share who you are. For example, my thing is I'm all natural. I'm 60 and I'm all natural, so that's a niche. You might be a bookkeeper that just does things by hand. I'm a bookkeeper who does things by hand. I don't do that technology stuff. Or you could be, I have these really high quality Excel spreadsheets, or I don't use QuickBooks, or I use QuickBooks. You could be, I'm a bookkeeper who wears dresses to her appointments, or you could be like a very attractive bookkeeper, and maybe you get clients who like a woman who's really attractive, or a woman who looks a certain way because they enjoy how the bookkeeper looks, or but I think the more you just share who you are and how you do things, you will attract those kinds of people who like that specific thing, And you might think no one's going to like this specific thing, but you will be surprised. There's a niche for everything. If you're a bookkeeper who likes to wear suits, put that in your ads. If you're a bookkeeper who likes to wear like t-shirts and jeans, put that in your ad. A lot of men like a bookkeeper who is very confident, because there's nothing more attractive than someone who's confident, who's like, you know what? I'm not a beauty queen. I'm not a spinner. I have a lot of wrinkles. If you're not willing to be screened or pay a deposit, get lost. Go elsewhere. What is the one? There's one that I was watching. Her home-based business ad was, I'm not a beauty. If I'm a tall Asian, I'm not a beauty queen. I'm not a spinner. So if you like those things, however, leave my website immediately if you're unwilling to be screened, unwilling to send a deposit, unwilling to follow instructions. Make me happy and I make you happy, I mean, her website is just super cute, and I copied a bunch of stuff for it because I'm like, damn, who cares about how chubby she is? I like her attitude. Like, that's very attractive. So don't ever think you've got to do, the fake breasts and the hair extensions and the fake butt implants and the plastic surgery. Most women my age who are bookkeepers, because they're trying to attract male clients, they have done a lot of plastic surgery, which to me is such a turn off. They have those breasts that aren't even soft, they just stick out. They have fake hair, they've done the facelift. Like, there's nothing genuine about them. Now, some women enjoy getting all made up. That's a different thing. Some women are so good at, the makeup and the hair, and they love doing that. If you love doing that, do that. Do that. Just be who you are. You don't have to do anything extra. There's a niche for everything. If you have a lot of tattoos, there are guys who will love that. If you're really tall, there are guys who will love that. Some guys only want to see black women, black bookkeepers. Some guys only want to see chubby bookkeepers. Some guys only want to see young cheerleader type of bookkeepers. Just be you and really own it. That's the main thing, is to really own it, and to be willing to turn people away if they're not kind. I've been really working on my auto replies. I'm really working on how to be inviting, because I used to be like, okay, on the first time you contact me, I want to know all your information and what kind of bookkeeping you need. But someone told me that he often will contact a bookkeeper just to see what kind of reply he gets. Like, is she friendly? Does she get back to me? Because some bookkeepers are very flaky and they will not get back to you for days or weeks at a time. So he might just be testing the waters, like, is this bookkeeper even friendly? Is she even going to reply? And also, just because he contacts me doesn't mean he has to make an appointment. So I've been kind of working around with my auto replies. One thing too, ladies, if you have a home-based business, I really recommend you get a separate phone or an app. I use an app called Sideline. And with that app, that number, I can, when you call me, I can have a voicemail or not. I can send an auto reply text when you call. I can send an auto reply text when you text me. And I can also include a photo in the auto reply. Sideline does not allow us to send links. They will block our account because it's a spamming feature that the FCC doesn't allow. So in my photo, I have a bunch of stuff written, like my website, my hours, to give more information, because I don't want to put that in my auto reply text. So just kind of like, hey, this is so and so, thank you for contacting me about bookkeeping. That, you've got the right number. Now I want to see what they come back with. The first question I usually ask is, when would you like your appointment? Because that kind of weeds people out, and then I'll make sure I get the name later. It's like, okay, I gotta have to be kind and inviting, yet I also have to make sure that people don't waste a lot of my time. I get guys that want to just talk to me or chat with me, and like, okay, well, if you want to chat with me, subscribe to my Just for Fans. We can chat there. This number is for making bookkeeping appointments, kind of keep them focused. But you get people that are a little bit stupid. They don't read the ad, or they're stupid, or they're boundary pushers. And, it's just like, not to get too triggered. I used to go off on guys right away, like, you're just a loser, block them, But that's not really good for business. I'm always really good with my bookkeeping clients, but I haven't been so good with the people contacting me, because I just have expected too much of men. I've expected too much, and I need to give them a little bit more wiggle room. So it's, just kind of always working on that part of it for me. But when I see people in real life, I'm always good. I don't get triggered with guys in real life, except when they, blow me off, and then I'm usually just sad. And if they really blow me off, I tell them, you're a loser. I haven't dated in so long though, so that's very different. But it's really important to understand the distinction between a client and a friend. Clients are not friends. I keep it all very separate. Clients are not friends. I can be friendly with them, but I'm not inviting them to they're not going to meet my kids. They're not going to come to my parties. They're not going to, uh, I'm not going to call them if I have a problem. I'm not going to call them if I need money. I'm not going to call them for anything. Like, I am the bookkeeper. And they pay me for bookkeeping, and that's how I like it. And yeah, so this video was more about it's okay to turn people away. That's what I want to get to. We get to decide who our clients are, and as long as we are uh, good at providing our professional services and we're kind to prospects, so we're not inadvertently turning people away, and we have good boundaries, we can have a very successful home-based business. And we need to just expect a lot of men, like this 18-year-old server. There are a lot of guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who could take a lesson from this 18-year-old server. So, you know, a lot of people don't want to see someone as a client who's under 25 or under 45 for whatever reason. But I've had some really good young clients, and you know what? Another good thing about them is they come to an elderly bookkeeper like myself and they want to learn something, and they're so appreciative. I have just set this 18-year-old out with a whole bunch of really good information about people that maybe he didn't know, and he also taught me some things. So that's really good, you know, as long as someone can follow the screening instructions. I don't care how old they are. You have to be at least 18 to hire a bookkeeper. I don't care how fat you are. I don't care about, you know, if you have another bookkeeper at home or any of that. None of that matters. It's all about mutual respect and being willing to turn people down if they start to ask you about your prices or your hours. It's like, slow down, read the ad. They don't want to read the ad. They are not for us, because there are people. What would I do if one of these guys who tries to push my boundaries? First of all, that's really gross. Like, I'm already pissed off. Like, fuck you. I'm not trying to see if I can see this guy. I'm trying to keep myself from saying fuck you, loser, because that's what comes up for me. But there's some women who like these guys and try to talk to these guys, and these are the women that end up in abusive relationships. You have to get really good. Any man who doesn't care how you feel is someone you should get far away from. So you have to know how you feel. You have to realize that I deserve to be treated with respect. And if it doesn't feel respectful, don't be around those people. Some of us have to change what's normal. Some people grew up in homes where they were abused, and until they realize what it's like to be treated with respect, they will be treated by abusive, controlling guys, and they won't know it's abusive and controlling because it's familiar. So if you as a woman say, these are the things that I need, then only invite clients into your home-based business that give you those things that you need. And so you can set up a test. You know, I would like to know this, this, and this, but just realize the more of their personal information you ask for, the riskier it is, because they're also thinking, hey, you know, I don't want my accountant to know that I am hiring a bookkeeper. It's like when you apply for a job. You apply for a job, you still have another job. Your new employer is asking you where you work, and you might be like, why? I don't want to tell you where I'm working now because I don't want you to call my boss and have him find out I'm looking for another job. So you kind of also have to think about the client's point of view, how much information they're going to feel comfortable giving you, because if you ask for too much, they're not going to want to see you because they don't know you. What are you going to do with that information? Why do you want to know where they work? Is that to blackmail them at some point? There's no reason that I need to know where that client works. There's no need for it. I had someone tell me recently, yeah, those ladies that want to know where someone works or get their LinkedIn, they're keeping it as a backup if they want to blackmail that guy. And that had never occurred to me, but guys have to think about that stuff. Because couldn't that happen? I'm going to call your wife. If you don't send me more money, I'm going to call your boss, you know. Oh, you didn't keep the appointment, I'm going to call your boss. I knew this gal years ago, and she would pull some nasty stuff with these guys. She would always want to know where they worked. She would go to their homes for her home-based business, and she was kind of a very lower end lady, and she traveled around a lot. She'd never been married, no kids, and she had this gym addiction. She would work out like hours every day, and she was a little bit on the skanky side. She didn't know how to take classy photos. And if a guy would stand her up, like one time there was this dentist in a small town, and he stood her up for the appointment. And so she called the office and told the receptionist that the dentist was trying to hire hookers, and she was tired of him standing her up. Like stuff like that she would do. She would do some weird stuff, mean stuff like that. And that's what those guys don't want, you know. She changed her phone number like every few weeks because she would always burn so many bridges. But whenever she did, you know, she would call me or like see how I was doing, and I would just talk to her because she was the only other home-based business person I knew at the time. But I haven't heard from her in a few years. I think she kept saying she was going to stop working. She had a home somewhere already paid off, and she was going to retire. But men have to think about that stuff. I don't want to give some floozy, you know, my home address or my work information. I wouldn't do that. Some people are just crazy, stalkers and crazy. I don't need somebody looking up my wife, my accountant, and tell my accountant I'm hiring another bookkeeper. I'm probably going on and on way too long. This is not, I guess my channel is not for those people who want like a quick bite of information. This is more for people who just kind of want to be entertained. Like, hey, I have a half hour to kill. I'm just going to listen to Sharzad's YouTube video. Um, I probably should make some shorter videos that have bullet points, but I'm not so good at that. But let me know if there's a shorter video you want on something with bullet points. I can really give it my best and do like a 2 or 3 minute video on something. I know some content creators, they'll do like a 1 hour interview live stream, and then they'll take parts of that, like 5 or 10 minute parts, and upload them separately. Because not everyone is going to watch a long video like this. It's just way too long. But that's fine with me because not everybody needs to know about my bookkeeping business. It's kind of on the down low anyway, so it's probably fine.